Hey friends, how's it going? Welcome back for more Dreams Beneath the Waves. I am here with an awesome group of people. I'm super excited. Before we go around and say hi to everybody this week, a couple of things. Thank you so much for all of the backing on the Kickstarter. It funded on, I think it was Friday. I know how days work. And we got everything through. So there's a bunch of really awesome things going to be coming up in the works for that. So thank you for that. But you can still tell people about it for when late pledges come out sometime soon, if you happen to miss the Kickstarter. But otherwise, if you want to satiate more of your Black Hats gaming purchasing needs, head over to the shop, check out the Spy Game. You can also head over to DM's Guild and check out Dreams, Nightmares, and Half-Remembered Meetings if you want some gribblies for your 5e adventures. But otherwise, I'm going to go around and speak to these wonderful people who have joined me today to continue their piratical adventures and maybe getting themselves into some trouble. I don't know who's next to me on the Twitch overlay, so I'm just going to go round this way here. So we have the wonderful Belle. How are you doing today, friend?
Hi there. I'm doing great. My name is Belle Scher, she, her. And I'm playing Winifred Teague today, the early 60s Nana of the ship. The ship. Whoops.
I mean, you know, there's still hope, maybe. A bit.
My captain.
And moving on from Belle and the wonderful Winifred, we have the amazing Hamna, who is with us this week. Couldn't make last week, but is here now. Hi, welcome.
Hello. It's so nice to be here for some shenanigans. Hello, everyone. My name is Hamna. And I use any and all pronouns. Today, I will be playing Lahab Suffer, who is the brash and irritable seeker. When will you meet me? I don't know. We'll see.
We might have had some plans. We might have had our own little mini session 0 to plan. And moving around from that, we have Lauren. How are you doing today, friend?
Hey everyone, I'm good. I'm Lauren. I'm that Salty Ginger over on Twitter. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm playing Venora Vane, also called Viper, the recently elected captain of this 4-person crew. So, yeah.
I mean, you had the hat, so
I did. So
you know, Venora did it to herself. And last but definitely not least, Noir. How are you doing, my spooky friend?
I'm doing all right. Just, I'm sorry. Every time I talk with my regular voice and I see myself, it's just this, like, there's a sense of distance. I'm fine. I'm playing Papa Sadso, your spooky exorcist on the ship, because every ship needs a good spooky exorcist. Like, just says spooky things in a spooky way at people.
Always. I mean, is any ship really complete if you don't have your designated spooky person?
Yeah, I mean, my favorite victim for spookiness is not with us tonight, so I'm thinking Safara's gonna have to take that role today.
Well, this is gonna be fun then. And I'm sure that you'll have plenty of spooky for Kurt when he is back with us next week. Unfortunately, Kurt couldn't be with us today. He's having some work done on his house. But if you're watching, Kurt, hi! We can't wait to have you back. But otherwise, let's dive back into our story. So to recap over last session really quickly, your ship was involved in a very strange incident that caused it, your captain, and the rest of its crew to be lost at sea. You have still no idea what happened to your ship, how a ship broke up out of the water beside you, or what the terrible darkness was that seemed to swallow the sky. You were taken back to Nassau, having been found drifting in the water by Captain Williams. And after speaking with some individuals, managed to find your way to Captain Eliza Haid, an associate of Henry Jennings, a man known for his acolytes of the Twisting Way. He plays with otherworldly forces, all in the name of good old-fashioned piracy. And Captain Hornigold perhaps was intrigued by the crew's decision to get involved with whatever it was Haid was talking to you about. you found out that your ship was not the first to experience something strange. And in fact, a number of ships have gone missing or were seemingly stolen without so much as a reasonable explanation or anyone knowing who the crew was with the ship with the sharked mouth figurehead. But she showed you a map of where some of these other strange occurrences has happened. She revealed to you that somebody might have answers. A sea witch in Port Royal, who is currently being held in the prison there, about to go on trial for a various list of collected supposed crimes. And Captain Haid offered to lend you a ship that she had caught as a prize a while back, known as the Dreamer, and told you that you would need to gather yourself a crew and outfit it. And Papa Sardsoul was the only person to actually speak directly to Haid in the last session. As she told him something about it sleeping beneath us and knowing what happens when it begins to stir. And that's kind of where we left off. So that evening, as you all head to bed, it's up to you where you decide you want to sleep, whether you decide to sleep aboard the Dreamer or whether you head back to mainland Nassau and sleep in one of the taverns, one of the inns there, which is probably significantly more comfortable. All of you have a strange dream. And when you wake in the morning, the remnants of it are gone from the back of your mind. All that's left is the cold sweat that you feel and that slight racing of your heart that you get when you wake up right at the end of a nightmare. But the contents of that are lost to you. When you make your way down to the docks of Nassau, you find the Dreamer is waiting there for you, as Saxby promised that it would be. I did post a link up for you folks, so you could have a look at the ship sheet for the Dreamer. She is a very, very well put together ship. You imagine that between Bart, Kurt's character, speaking to Captain Hornigold and making some arrangements, and a few of you, I can get you the link, Lauren. Let me grab it, because Discord has literally just died on me. Oh no, it's back. It should be pinned in the...
Got it.
There we go. It's all right. I would have sent it to your Discord, but it literally just disappeared on me. Weird. Between Kurt speaking to Hornigold to get you a crew, and I imagine that some of you just generally calling in some favors, perhaps chatting to some people, and with Richard Saxby's help, Eliza's quartermaster, the Dreamer is pretty well outfitted. You have on each side, port and starboard, 4-pounder cannons, so the same as you would have had on the headsman. You also have front-facing cannons, known as Dawn's Reach, which you have one either side at the front of the prow, either side of the figurehead. Not uncommon, but not massively common on these kinds of ships. You're not sure what purpose this ship had before Eliza took it as her own, but it looks like it was well outfitted for combat in that sense. Thanks to Bart and Captain Hornigold, you managed to put together a fairly rough crew, but a good crew nonetheless that will serve as you need.
I think something that Venora definitely does is, while she sends Winnie to supply up the ship, and Bart to deal with the guns, she and Papa are the ones who talk to all of the crew, because if they're freaked out by Papa, they probably don't belong on this voyage. So she just walks with Papa and just sees how it goes.
So is this the plan to kind of like faux intimidate the crew to get rid of the people that would desert and jump ship? or is this just seeing what their reaction to Papa is?
Yeah, it's more, well, she also values like Papa's opinions on people, and like, Bart often is the one who's like freaked out, but he's like the like level that is acceptable, and she just thinks that if there's someone who shouldn't be aboard, the person likely to know besides herself is Papa. So she just wants to make sure that both of them meet everybody.
Okay.
Like Papa would be like leaning up against some of the recruits and just go, "This one's soul smells clean and good. Great for bait for things under the sea."
I imagine that, like, as you climb aboard, Saxby is probably there to kind of help hand over. He's trying to be helpful, and he calls out the captain on deck call, and you watch as all the crew begin to make their way up and line the edges of the deck to meet their captain. There are men and women here, some of them quite young, early to mid 20s, some of them older, pushing into their 40s. A mix of what looks like some greener sea hands and some men who have clearly had a good few years before the mast. And why don't you, Lauren, why don't you go ahead and just roll a savvy check for me, and let's have Papa assist.
Okay. All right, I got it.
So let me grab the assistance rules up here again. What's your savvy score, Noir?
2.
So yours is 2.
Papa's savvy score is a nice, strong, and healthy 0.
Oh, okay. So I'm not. In which case, add your harness. What's your harness skill?
2.
Add 2 to your test, Lauren.
Okay, then it would be 18 total instead.
18. So you walk up and down and you greet everybody. And they're all fairly polite. This isn't regimented like it would be if this was the Navy and you were a naval officer, but there's a couple of people who you can see are visibly perturbed by Papa and his strange demeanor. But nobody is so freaked out by anything that he says that it looks like they make to leave. There's a couple of people who are a bit visibly uncomfortable. Some of perhaps you suspect more of the superstitious sailors, as some are wont to be. But for the most part, they kind of just accept it. I mean, it's Nassau. Strange things have been seen. You don't last long out here if you're not willing to put up with a little bit of the unknown. So they seem like a, fairly put together crew. Before you set sail to Port Royal, is there anything else that you want to do while you are here on Nassau?
Well, Winifred certainly gets more of whatever Toby made, and she brings as much of that, maybe a small barrel. She asks Toby to make up, hey, whatever this is, make some more of it, and hopefully it'll keep on board. And so Winifred comes on with this big old mug of whatever Toby made.
I imagine that if you go back to the tavern and speak to Pearl, she can direct you to Toby, who I imagine lives in the tavern. He's got a room upstairs, and he perhaps is the kind of person who does all the manual lifting and heavy lifting around here. And he takes you round to the back, in this little nook in the drink cellar where you can see all of these various kegs of alcohol that have come off various ships. Most of it probably stolen. And you can see his little home brewing setup. And he has a small keg, the kind that you could carry that would, you might buy if you were having a round or something like that and you really wanted to flash the cash. And he offers to sell it to you. It will cost you, let's see, how much is the weak grog in here? So I'm just finding the equipment table. I'm gonna say this will cost you. It'll cost you a doubloon. 10 reals is what he asks for it.
Been through some tough times, Toby. How about 7?
Well,
It's
you
for the
know,
crew.
it's
It's for the crew.
small cask, handmade. He starts like he's giving you the talk, right? This is how he
Right,
clearly
right.
sells anything he makes to anybody and convinces Pearl to put it on the shelf.
Uh,
But if you want to try and talk him down, you can.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I would like to try and talk him down. And Kiki, I say 7, and she brings up 7 and offers 7, to him.
So she rummages around in the pot, and you hear the clink of the coins as he's kind of a bit confused at this howler monkey scratching around in a pot.
So Winifred has kept all of her belongings really in this pot that she has taken from the ship, and her howler monkey sits inside the pot. So Kiki offers 7, unblinking, up at Toby.
You notice as Kiki is rummaging, because this is built up of lots of different currencies, right? You'd have doubloons in here, you'd have reals, all sorts of odd and strange bits, along with any other trinkets that you kept in here. And you notice that in Kiki's hands, as she's offering this out, there's also a strange object wrapped in a white cloth that you don't recognize. That she's clearly just kind of picked up and is just holding on to, along with some other, like a thimble that's got caught up in the coins that she's picked out and stuff like that. Right. And she's just kind of holding out what she's scooped.
All right. I noticed that little wrapped thing, and I scooped that into my own hand, and I'll investigate that later.
Okay, go ahead and roll me a savvy test then, right. And I'll give you.
I got a savvy of 2.
I'll give you the ability to nudge a dice because
got a savvy of 1.
Kiki is helping you with this.
Okay. Oh, well, that's 15. Can I nudge that 1?
Yeah. So you nudge that 1 up to a 2.
To a 2, so 16.
16. Yeah, easily. Yeah. As you're talking, he doesn't even really see you like picking the other items out of Kiki's hands as she's kind of picked this up. And he's just kind of transfixed by by this howler monkey, and is like, okay, but only if I can I? And he like makes to go and pet her.
Yeah, Kiki. Yeah, Kiki, let him.
He reaches out, and he's enamored with this little monkey as he's kind of pulling the reals out of the money she's scooped up.
Yeah.
And he pockets it, and he takes the keg, and he kind of awkwardly hands it to you.
Thank you, Toby. Much obliged. We will always come back to this tavern and more of your stuff.
I mean, anyone asks, you tell them. That's whatever Toby makes. That's what that is.
Whatever Toby makes.
You can see badly branded into the wood with some kind of hot iron is whatever Toby made.
Whatever Toby made.
So you can mark down that you have a small keg of whatever Toby made.
Yeah, I bring that on board with me.
Okay. Is there anything else that anyone would like to do while you're here in Nassau? As joining you on deck now is Winifred. I imagine you've also managed to secure provisions for the ship. So following in your tow are some other heavy lifters employed by the shopkeepers and stuff here to bring you aboard supplies of salted meats, fresh fruits, etc. As you come up on deck with this keg and your pot and Kiki sitting atop it, and you find the crew just going back to work after having spoken to Venora and Papa.
Good. She says as she waddles over to the stairs leading below deck, and she's still going good, as she heads below deck to the galley.
Awesome. You go below deck to the galley. It is a state. It hasn't been cleaned in some time.
What?
But the ship hasn't really been in use aside from Haid having sailed it back here to towards Nassau after she'd taken it and basically stripping it out of anything worth of value.
Right. You too. You stay down here with me, and you're going to help wash these tables and get everything set up for everyone to have a good dinner now, all right?
Okay. With your provisions aboard, your crew secured, all you have left to do is set sail for Port Royal.
Weigh anchor.
And the crew does. The anchor comes up, and you start to hear the familiar calls upon deck to lower the sails, where to bring her out. And before you know it, you are back on the open sea, heading away from Nassau towards Port Royal. At Port Royal, though, it is a very bright, sunny day. Not that Laheb can tell this very much, aside from the rays of sunshine coming through a tiny little barred window way high above you in this cell. You can hear the sounds echoing off this wall, and it's almost like a little corridor that you're in, with just cells that line it, occasionally broken by stone walls where you imagine more cells sit. And from up above where that tiny window is, you can hear the footfall of the people of Port Royal. And all around you can hear the sound of dripping water, the sound of somebody further on talking, somebody shouting, the sound of chains moving. Describe, what we see as we come into this scene.
So Laheb is probably in their early 30s-ish. They're not quite as young and spry as some of the newer pirates are of this day. They've been around for a little bit of time. They always wear this one necklace that has a skull and a dagger on it. It's not a real dagger, just a likeness of one that is made from gold. One of the treasured prizes that they gained from onboarding a ship once. And they sit there in the corner of the cell, just picking pebbles up from the ground and trying to throw it through the barred window to the outside, just trying to see if they can get it through the slits and maybe hit somebody that is walking by or get somebody's attention. Because as you can imagine, sitting here, it gets boring, gets lonely. Nobody really talks to them very much, save for maybe the guards when they come around to give them the slop that they call food. And with their cellmates coming and going so often, it's kind of difficult to maintain any sort of conversation with them lately. So they're just kind of sitting there, arms crossed, lazily throwing pebbles.
And as you're throwing these pebbles, which are picked up from the kind of the rough stone floor of this cell, between the cracks where, years worth of mud and general acclimation of stuff has got in between these, you manage to get one through. And you hear it rattle on the street outside. And just as you do that, the woman in the cell beside you turns and looks. And it's one of those things where you almost hear her move as she shifts, and the fabric of the dress that she's wearing kind of drags across. Are you winning yet? And she speaks in this very heavy Jamaican accent to you. She looks through the bars that divide your cells.
The firecracker's always winning, but today I think I'm doing better than usual.
I count 4 that you've managed to put through that window today.
4 that I've put through, another 2 that almost made it, hit the bars and fell back. I think those count too.
I suppose in here there's no one to say they don't. Not unless you think so. And she looks over to a very bored looking guard who is wearing a reasonably well put together British naval uniform, as it is the British that currently hold Port Royal. And you can tell that this man is not used to this heat. You know, the collar's been opened. It's not sitting right on him as he's shifted and adjusted in the heat of this little cell in the dark, which doesn't really get much air either. And he just kind of regards both of you, not cruelly, but just indifferently, just and doesn't say anything.
Getting a little hot there, aren't you?
Well, it is hot. We are in the Caribbean.
Why don't you get some water? Might be good for you. Might be good for me.
He kind of eyes you suspiciously for a second, and the woman in the cell beside you looks at him and says, "We've been here for weeks. What do you think we're going to do? Escape while you take a drink?" And she's not flippant. She's just very matter of fact. And he kind of looks around and begrudgingly leaves for a moment as you hear him walking not too far down the hall, but you can hear the sound of water being poured into a container of some kind.
Is it possible where, like, the way that the cells are positioned for me to like get my hands through the bar and like reach over to her cell, or no? Or are they like
you
too
can
far
reach
apart,
between the cells, so they're directly next to each. The only thing that separates like her space and yours is another set of iron bars between you. It's these are not luxury like single little things. This is just we put some bars in a little room and it works.
It sounds very safe. So Lahab is going to stand up, taking like a handful of pebbles, walk over to the bar separating us, and they are going to hand over a few of them to the woman and say, "Why don't you give it a shot? I'd love to see how good your aim is."
And she smiles at you, this big warm smile, and she takes the pebbles from your hand. She says, "You have heard what they call me, haven't you, child?" And you have heard why she's here. You've heard the guards talking about it. Her name is Dorna, and she is here for a long list of things, but predominantly attempting to poison or having poisoned a number of people, while she claims to be a healing woman, but most predominantly she's here because it's claimed that she tried to poison the governor of Port Royal.
I've heard rumors of why you're here, and I must say, and Lahab kind of like leans in a little bit closer and like lowers their voice as they say this, "I'm a big fan of your work."
There was no work, child. It is simply a thinly veiled attempt to send me to the gallows. And she picks up one of the stones and without even looking at the window, throws it. And for a second, it just doesn't look like it's going to just get high enough. And then it does. And it passes through that small gap in the bars. And you hear it trickle outside, the sound dying to the sounds of Port Royal above you.
Lahab is like surprised at the ease with which she did that, but is going to try and like compose themselves and like not really let it show, and is going to just flick their head towards the window and say, "For someone who claims to have no experience in the things that people say that you do, you did that pretty easily."
I claimed not to be guilty of the things they accuse me. Not that I have no experience, but I can see that you do. And she gives you a very knowing look. And just as she goes to throw another pebble, you can hear the guard come back, and he has a pail of water. And he steps up to the just between both of your cells, and as if to get your attention, just taps the side of this ladle against the metal and scoops out water and kind of passes it through the corner of your cell for you to drink from.
I assume I can't like I assume the ladle is not being offered. It is just the water in the ladle.
It is just the water in the ladle. It is.
Lahab will take sort of a small sip and then will say, give the rest to the lady. I think she could use it more than I can.
And he does so. He does the same thing through her cell, and she takes a drink of it. And just as he goes to put this down, another guard comes back through with a young man who you saw. He came in a couple of nights ago, and when he did, he was incredibly drunk, singing at the top of his voice, this beautiful baritone that he had, and had to kind of be pushed into his cell. And he sits, and it looks like that perhaps he's been brought up in front of somebody, is awaiting something. And this guard, who has been, more or less indifferent, says, "Aha, you're back. You promised me a tune for that black eye last night." And he points to what is barely any bruising underneath, like, the socket of his eye. And he hands this man a lute that is sitting on the side in a pile of stuff that's not very well kept. And he sits and he begins to play, happy to have this time. Is there anything else that you want to do in this moment?
I think I was just going to take one very careful, searching look at Dorna, just trying to see, is there anything unusual about her? Like, has she managed to smuggle anything in under her dress? Like, are there any bulging areas that like look kind of unnatural? Just while the guards are distracted and won't notice, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a savvy test because you're looking for something physical about her.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and just make a savvy test. So you hit the roll in there and add your modifier.
Oh no, I got a 9.
9. Not that you notice. She's wearing a fairly nice dress, but like many people who are kind of more common folk, it's nothing massively ostentatious or overly decorated. It definitely looks very utilitarian. You notice that there are some aspects of jewelry and beaded items that are tied to her that she's been allowed to keep for one reason or another, but it doesn't look like physically, like there's no odd lumps in the skirts, or it doesn't look like there's anything tucked into her top. If she did have something under the skirts, it's possible she could have hid something, but you were searched coming in here and you would assume that she would have been as well. It looks like she's been allowed, like you have, to keep your necklace, any personal items that they don't think are anything important or of tremendous value. But otherwise, no, there's nothing. The only off thing about her that you've noticed is that look that she gives you.
I was going to tuck that in to their memories, and otherwise is just going to enjoy the singing of this other prisoner.
And it is wonderful singing. It doesn't last for very long. After a couple of hours, the lute is taken back as the guard rotation changes, and people continue to be thrown in here for the rest of the day. Sometimes it's minor petty things and they're released later. Sometimes it's people being moved from cell to cell. That's just what it is. Later on that night are where things begin to get interesting. As the man who is in one of the other cells a little further down, who you've seen, comes back very late. He's taken out of his cell by the guards and comes back. And he spends the entire night whispering to himself, as if he's praying or talking to someone.
Can I make out the words that they're saying?
Not from here. It's just under the breath, where you can just detect the faint of the syllables, but nothing concrete. But this is the first time you've heard that at night. But it's not the first time that people have been pulled in and out of their cells. Another few days pass, and if you inquire about your trial, you get told it's been pushed back again. The magistrate is busy. There is no sense of urgency around here. You are fed, and it's the same routine, throwing pebbles through the window, talking to the people that come in and out. Dorna is still in the cell beside you. You see occasionally some of the guards come through and speak to her about things. Some of the nicer ones that you've noticed, who will ask about the treatment for an ailment, or what to do with a cut, or where they might be able to purchase some kind of healing herb or something to help them sleep. The kind of things you would expect from a wise woman, a healer. Lauren continues to whisper at night to themselves. And Afasa continues, the man in the other cell, whose name I'm sure that you learn at some point, continues to play the lute when the kinder guards are on and they feel like listening to something other than the sound of stale dripping water and the footfall of Port Royal above. It's those few nights later when you're woken by the sound of metal grating against metal as Afasa, the lute player, his cell door is opened, and in his half-asleep stupor is pulled out of his cell and taken somewhere. It's hours later, just as the sunlight barely begins to come through that high little window, that you hear the sound of metal on metal again as he is returned. And in the morning when you wake, he is sat, hunched in the corner of his cell, quiet. And the entirety of that day, he doesn't ask for his loot. He doesn't sing. He doesn't crack jokes like he had done the days prior that you've been in here. And more people come in and out, and the guards come in and out, and it all goes back to this monotony that seems to be interrupted by the change in these few lasting things around you.
Do the guards ever talk amongst themselves and talk about where they're taking these people, or why they're being taken out of their cells?
You never hear them talk about where they're going, especially at night. During the daytime, you will hear, this person's been taken to trial. This one is going to go and speak to somebody who claims that they're going to, pay some kind of ransom for the release, but never about what happens, why they're taken at night. And the night guards never say anything. It's odd. They are the least chatty. No matter how much you interact with them, they don't seem to care or listen. Perhaps it's just that night duty is awful. Perhaps it's done purposely. But during the day, you overhear little bits and pieces. You overhear things about the governor. There's complaints. Some of the guards joke that he has been acting unreasonably or petty, which you know to be true after somebody shows up in the jail for only a few hours before they are eventually released, for making some kind of demeaning joke about the governor. Some of them complain of headaches and that something is just weird in the air at Port Royal. Some of them attribute it to the fact that Dorna is a sea witch. There's some whisperings that she is, upset that she got caught poisoning the governor and is trying to curse, Port Royal, and all sorts of weird superstitious stuff that goes on, and the general kind of grumblings that you get in any workplace about the higher ups, that kind of thing is what you hear. But what you decide to make of that is up to you.
If I have a chance in between, maybe like the guards changing shifts or while they're taking someone out to go somewhere, if I have a chance to speak to Asafa when there aren't guards in earshot, I would definitely take that moment.
You can absolutely do that. There's probably like a change where they leave, and it probably takes a few minutes before some slightly lazy young man who's supposed to be guarding, is a few minutes late to get to his post. So you can definitely have time with Asafa.
Yeah, so the Have's just gonna like walk over to the bars and like lean their arms through them and rest on them, looking at Asafa with like this discerning kind of look, and will ask, "No song today."
What's the point in songs? He just looks at you, just like a blank expression. That big, beaming smile is gone.
Lightens the mood, makes being here less awful.
Being here, being there, it being awful, it not. So petty. So small. It's just none.
Where did they take you a few nights ago?
And he looks at you and he gives you a long look. Like he's staring right through you, like he's thinking about something, remembering something. Just none of it really matters, does it? We're just tiny, inconsequential. Just. And his voice just kind of drifts away as you see him kind of, his eyes fog a little as he goes back into a thought.
Did they hurt you when they took you out? Did they threaten you?
And he kind of squints his eyes at you, looks down at his hands as if examining his arms. No.
Then what happened? You don't seem yourself. And I gotta say, I liked the old you a lot better than this one.
Perspective.
Perspective.
They gave me some perspective.
What did they shoot you from a cannonball, make you see things from really high up in the air? Is that the perspective that you're talking about?
Maybe that was one of them. It all just seems so... And it's like he's trying to find the words, and as he thinks of them, it's just like he goes somewhere else for a minute. And then he's back, and he never finishes the end of the sentence.
Lahabe's just gonna like, not really knowing what to do, is just gonna like lightly kick some pebbles towards Asafa's cell and say, well, if you're ever feeling up for it too, know that we could all use one. I think maybe you most of all.
And he picks one of the pebbles up. Yes. We are like this. And then we are gone. And he just kind of doesn't even make to throw the pebble to the window, just kind of scatters it. Inconsequential. And he gives you that 1,000-yard stare again as he kind of slumps back in the cell.
Lahabe's gonna like stare at Asafa for just a little bit, trying to figure out like what could have happened, what could have made them change their whole personalities so drastically. And then kind of just still kind of staring at them is just gonna like turn back and go back to a different corner of their cell and like play with some pebbles in their hands absentmindedly, lost in thought.
And as you do that and play with the pebbles, you can hear the running late guard who kind of shuffles into the room quickly, a bit out of breath, his uniform not quite right, and takes up his post, and the monotony continues. However, back on the Dreamer, it has been a good few days' travel by sail. I assume that you don't stop off anywhere on the way. You're just heading straight to Port Royal. The seas have been fairly good to you. You haven't hit any weather that's too terrible. The only thing that you have noticed is just that you have not been sleeping very well. Waking up in cold sweats or having trouble sleeping at all. Sleep on the Dreamer has been restless. And you can put that down to whatever, you might personally think it is: stress, the events of the past few days, the fact that this is a strange, unfamiliar ship. Whichever you like. But you start to see Port Royal in the distance. You know that Haid said that she could not dock her ship. She could not dock at Port Royal. Piracy is hit and miss with Port Royal. Sometimes you're welcome, sometimes you're not. It really depends on who is in charge. Currently, it is the British. They have been known to allow pirates to dock if it is profitable for them. It is up to you whether you wish to come into the harbour at Port Royal, and what you wish to say if you do, or you can choose to park up away from the harbour and find other ways onto land, such as rowboats, etc. What would you like to do?
Funnily enough, Venora, one of the things when she was stuffing things into her bag the night the executioner went down included faked Port Authority documents. Of course, they're made up for a different ship. So I think she has spent the voyage kind of changing those over for the Dreamer. But I think if we're going to be taking an easily recognized fugitive out of jail, there's a question of if we're going for quickness, which would be to go to the harbor, I assume, or stealth, which would be docking a little further afield. I'm inclined toward the latter. Does anybody else have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, those documents, you can definitely change them over. It's possible that you might have even left them blank to fill in case you wanted to bring the headsman in under a different name, which probably wasn't uncommon to do so. You could have easily picked up British flags in the Nassau to run those colours if you wish to, instead of your own. It's totally up to you how you want to make port here.
How confident are you in forging those papers?
The papers will be good. It's more if they have brains in their heads. I mean, you take a look at all of us. We don't really look like a merchant vessel. Well, maybe you are very upstanding, Winifred.
Oh, I vote for docking further away and coming in.
Papa?
I say whichever way you choose, the worst they can do is kill us.
I hope you're right.
He's not wrong.
Yeah, I think we'll dock farther away and come on in launches. Just because she's likely to be recognizable, and even if it's dark, promenading toward the harbor is probably going to be a bad idea.
Yeah, you can do that. You can choose not to dock in the harbor, but instead leave your ship further out and come in by boat. Probably not massively uncommon, especially if you didn't have the money to pay the harbor master for your ship coming into port.
I think I'll leave a copy. Sorry, I think I'll leave a copy of the papers with whoever our quartermaster is, who will stay on deck.
Since Kurt is not here, it
Yeah.
might be reasonable to assume that Bart stays on the ship.
Great. Yeah.
Especially since he has command of the gunnery crews as well.
Yeah.
So he can keep things prepared and ready here if you need to, and also serve as, if anyone rows out to question your paperwork, so present it to them if needed.
I give him a walkthrough of what's on there.
You explain all of that. Most of it is documents. I imagine that it would state that you're sailing under British colours, because Port Royal is under British rule at the moment, and that you're here for some kind of merchant goods business, whether it's assessing goods to potentially buy later, or to maybe stock up on stuff, or meet with somebody, something along those lines.
Yeah.
Basically might suggest that at most you are merchant traders. At worst, perhaps you are buccaneers working under some kind of assumed letter of marque. So you manage to row ashore. You can fit the three of you and maybe a couple of other men if you wanted to in a rowboat. Row up and leave it shored up somewhere out of the way and make your way round into Port Royal proper. Some of you have been here before. Venora, you definitely would have been here before as part of Jennings' crew. There's a reason that Jennings can no longer dock at Port Royal, and it's called piracy. He's not very well liked around here. Winifred, you would have been here before. Has Papa ever been to Port Royal?
I'd say yeah. He didn't really cause any trouble, but I would say that he has left an impression on people the way that he tends to.
Yeah, I imagine there's some people, some of the old hands who are merchants, or some of the old sea hands at the docks, perhaps recognize you. There are some whispers as you go past.
Yeah, I just like the idea that he showed one person exactly how they're going to die, and they have just been terrified ever since.
Yeah, maybe that is the whispering that you hear. One of them being like, that's the one who told him. No, he still hasn't kicked the bucket yet, as you kind of go past. What would you like to do now that you're here? You do have the prisons, the magistrate's offices, the governor's house. You would also know kind of where that is, considering it's probably one of the nicer buildings here in Port Royal. You do see a lot of the kind of British naval militia that are around, including some of their ships in the dock here as well.
I think Venora would suggest heading to the prison in the hopes of seeing if any of the cells have openings toward the outside to kind of look like she's, smoking tobacco or something up against the wall, and being able to hopefully communicate with someone who knows kind of the inner workings.
Yeah. You know where these cells are on here. Some of you might have even spent some time in them at one point if you so wish. But you know that they are, as you come up towards the kind of more fortified area, you can see the little ground level, like half moon shaped windows that would sit high up in the cells, that provide just that little bit of sunlight, and if you're very lucky, some cool air. But otherwise a whole lot of dirt and dust and noise where the cells would be.
Yeah, I think Venora, walks casual, leans up against the wall in front of one of these windows, purposefully blocking the light to get the attention of whoever's inside. Maybe even kicking some, little pebbles or something into the window, and just, slowly hand rolling some tobacco. Okay. Adjusting her boots, her coat, whatever.
So while Venora is doing this, what are Winifred and Papa doing right now?
Oh, Winifred will stay with Papa.
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say Papa would probably be serving as a lookout maybe even a distraction.
Yeah.
How are you going to distract somebody? Because there are like nobody's watching in sense of
Okay.
like, but you are near an area which is obviously kept under guard. So you do see some patrols passing through. They're not very well managed. You can see the heat is getting to some of these British men and women that are here. They're not used to it. They're fairly lazy patrols, but you can see one starting to come that way. So how are you going to provide a distraction? You're muted, Ma.
I'm gonna walk up to the one that is heading in the direction of Viper.
Okay, so you walk up, and there's only like two people in this guard patrol. An older woman whose fair skin you can see is covered in sunspots and sun damaged, and a slightly younger man. As they walk, both of them have kind of loosened their uniforms to adjust for the heat, and are carrying muskets as they walk around, but they still look fairly casual, but they're just kind of scanning around looking for, just keeping an eye out. And as you come across and stop them, you see she doesn't react too much to you. She gives you a quizzical look. The younger man is a little bit confused, as some people will want to give you that look when they see Papa just rock up in front of them. Can I help you, sir?
Weapons have a tendency of singing with the voices of men they slang. What songs do your weapons sing, I wonder?
And she turns to look at you, Winifred. Is your friend quite all right?
Oh, yeah. Go ahead, answer him.
We don't have drunkenness on the streets in Port Royal. The governor's having a crackdown on this. Have you been at one of the drinking houses, sir? And this conversation goes on as she is very concerned about Papa's state right now. But this gives you time, Venora, without them even looking your direction. You don't know whether they would question what you're doing. As you start blocking the tiny little window that's down by your feet and kicking dirt and pebbles into the cell. Laheb, as you're down in your cell, the empty cell next to you that belongs to Dorna, you suddenly see, as you're starting to throw pebbles up, the light gets blocked by something. It's not unusual. Sometimes people stop by. But then you see dust kicking in through this that floats down, and little particles and the last bits of rays of light that fall across you, and they get in the air that you're breathing, and these pebbles and bits of sand that have kicked this far in just go everywhere between the two cells.
Abe is gonna stand up and like go up to the wall and just go, hey, there's somebody down here, and start like pounding as high up on the wall as they can to like get this person's attention.
And you see just the sexiest pair of legs you have ever seen in your life. Kind of crouch down and look in.
You can see the guard goes, "Oi, get down from there. You're not supposed to be talking to..." And he notices the kind of blocked window. And you see him, he grabs his musket as he doesn't want to leave it in here and makes his way out. You imagine to maybe go and find out who that is and move them along. Because that's his little bit of sunlight and, cool air coming in here too. But Venora, the voice takes you a minute as you kind of crouch down, realizing somebody's heard you. It's kind of familiar. Very familiar. A voice you haven't heard in a few months since that last time something went wrong trying to capture a prize that wasn't the incident. But Laheb, as soon as that guard is gone, you can go back to pounding, like standing back up and pounding on the wall if you want, because he's got to go up all the way around or find somebody to tell to go and sort it.
So as Venora is like crouching down, would I be able to see like her face or like any distinguishing part of her body? Like, can I recognize that this is Venora?
Nora, I imagine if at this point you're kind of crouched very low to the floor, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as you're crouched, you could probably even sit down beside this little hole if you wanted to. As you try to peer up, there is something that catches the sunlight. You can see what you think might be an arm, the motion of rolling tobacco, but there is a glint, something strange. It's not the glint that you get from jewelry. It for a second creates this prismatic flare of light, like looking through a prism as it streams in. Reminds you of somebody. A woman that you know as the Viper, a woman that you have been on a crew with before the incident where the headsman ran without you for whatever reason. Reminds you of Venora the Viper Vane and the strange iridescent scales that you know she has up the side of one arm.
Lahab is going to pick the biggest pebble that they can find and like quickly try and like hit Venora with it to try and get her to like look into the window.
I'm gonna just let this happen. Yeah. You grab one of the pebbles that's been kicked in, and Venora, you feel after hearing this shouting and kind of the dull thud against stone, this pebble flick you on the arm, right where one of those sets of kind of strange iridescent scaled skin sits that's come up from the cell beneath you.
Your aim's improved, Lahab.
Come back for me now, have you? Finally.
Wasn't my call to make, but I can't say you're not a friendly face to see right now.
Well, I suppose there are worse places to wait, but you can imagine it doesn't feel good to be abandoned by the crew.
Yes, I can. Is there somebody in there with you?
There's many people here with me. Well, not in this cell, but... And Lahab just kind of gestures to, like, around.
A woman named Dorna.
Hold on. Are you here for me, or are you here for Dorna?
Yes.
Lahab just kind of, like, chuckles to themselves, like, shaking their head, and goes, dear Lord. All right, well, yes. There is a woman named Dorna here, and he looks over at her in her cell and kind of like tries to make eye contact.
Dorna is not in her cell right now.
Oh.
She was taken out this morning for something.
In that case, there usually is a woman named Dorna in the cell next to me. She was taken out this morning by the guards, but I imagine she should be back within an hour or so.
What's the best time to slip in if one were in need of that?
In between the shifting of the guards, there's one that always runs a little bit late. Always comes in with his uniform askew. Wonder what he's up to. But if you come in before he manages to come here, you have a few minutes. It's not long, but long enough.
About what time is that usually?
I would say usually around the evening time, just before they switch over to Night Watch.
Well, then I shall be seeing you anon.
Hey, Venora, do you have anything useful on you right now? They kind of took everything from me, as you can imagine.
Is anyone watching you?
I kind of look around, and has the guard come back yet? The one that left?
He hasn't, no. But Venora, you can see where Papa and Winifred are chatting with the guard. There is another young man who comes out to meet them, and Winifred and Papa, you see this in this midst of this conversation where she's still trying to work out if Papa's drunk or just creepy. This young guard comes up, Lieutenant. And he kind of, talks quietly into her ear and points in your vague direction, and they kind of turn to look.
Yeah. She notices, and as she lights the cigarette and like pushes herself up with one hand, her lockpicks slip out of her sleeve through the window below.
And there is a sound of metal on stone as they slip and hit the floor in your cell.
I am going to hide them in my boots, just like tucked in to the side.
Easy enough to do. You tuck them in, and it's at this, and as you get up, Winifred and Papa, the woman who you now know is some kind of lieutenant, says, I do not have time for this. Do not let me catch you drunk and disorderly and rowdy around here. And she, excuse me, miss. Come away from there.
Oh, I was wondering if you could tell me where the closest tavern would be, or a place to lay my butt down on something. I just need to sit down, ma'am.
You kidding? This is Port Royal. Every other building is a tavern.
I'm new here.
She gives you a quizzical look. Any building is pretty much where she points out. And you know this to be true. There are more taverns here than people.
Thank you, ma'am.
What makes you fit to guard when you're so blind to the world that you live in?
Arrest this man. She looks to the young guard who had come out and the young man she's with as she just starts walking over towards you, Venora, and Papa.
Yeah.
These two younger men, they kind of sling their muskets on their shoulders. And
that's gonna be sleep of the deathless. I just blow smoke and I just blow dust in one of their faces, and
this isn't bad. This isn't bad.
I cast this on a single non-living. Oh no, he's living. Okay, never mind. I can't do this.
Okay.
Damn it.
Wait, hold on.
I mean, you could change that. No, I'm kidding. But
the target must. Oh no, I can do this. He must take a TN 16 abjure save or fall asleep until the end of their next turn.
It says non-living or mythos target.
Oh, okay. So never mind.
He is neither a mythos target or non-living.
That is rough.
I can imagine that you go to do the action, and there's just, you get that sense that you have, right, that you always get when something's right or not right, that this isn't going to work, that he's not that, he's not other.
Can I try to?
But I imagine as they try to come up and you do this blow, they both step back for a second and realize that you weren't doing anything that they can adjust for, and go to grab either side of your arms.
What am I being arrested for exactly, if I might ask?
Disorderly behavior.
By asking you a question and being completely sober while I do it.
For being creepy.
And that's a cry. You should see what else I can do.
And they look at each other and just
helping.
unless anyone does something to stop them, they're going to grab you by the arms and basically force walk you towards the inner gates of this fort of the prison.
I am going to do something.
Oh, okay.
This says I can cast it at a single target. Now it doesn't say living, non-living, or anything like that. I am going to cast this at his musket. I'm casting Sharpened Light.
Can I do that as well?
You can if you want to, but Papa will get his spell off first. So the way that this works, as I discovered when I had to cast this the other night, so the first thing you have to do is you have to roll to see if you can successfully get this cast off, right? So you need to pick between 1 and 4 dice, and each dice is going to cost you a point of courage, because spellcasting always costs something.
Okay.
And you need to basically roll a 9 on however many dice you choose, including any modifiers. So you should.
So I have Courage of the Pure that says I gain a die without having to spend a courage point when casting any abjure spell.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna cast 4 dice without spending any courage.
You gain a single die without having to
Oh.
spend courage. So you can
Gotcha.
you can always roll 1 as a minimum without having to spend a courage point.
Okay. In that case, I'm still gonna spend all 4.
So you have to
that'll
take off
cost
3
me-
points of courage.
Yep, that's okay.
Yeah, and then go ahead and roll. And if you hit 9 or higher, you have successfully cast.
And I get to add my modifier to this, right?
You do, yeah, your abjure modifier.
So that's just gonna be a 14.
14. Yeah, you managed to
Nice.
get the cast of this off. You feel whatever sense it is you feel when you know you've successfully cast. So now you make a long range attack. So that's going to use accuracy, but you get a +10 modifier to it. So
Nice.
46. I think this will just be straight +10 if you don't have anything in accuracy.
Do I have any? I don't. So 46 plus 10, that's 21.
21. Yeah, that's going to hit. And you
Can
cast
I
it on
describe what it looks like?
You can, yeah.
So for his spells, because he's an exorcist, there's just going to be a crack under a crack behind this guy, and just a spectral skeleton's going to reach out and crush the musket, and then just go back down to the ground.
Yeah, I imagine the skeleton comes out, and I imagine as it puts its hand around there, you do get that flash of light, as if something speared its way through the musket, and the wood and the metal splinter outwards, and it disappears into the ground. He probably doesn't even see this happen. What did you roll, Winifred?
I rolled a
Casting-
9.
A 9. Is that enough
Yeah.
for your casting number? Should be.
Yes, my casting number is 8. So yes.
Cool. So you go ahead and make the same thing. It's going to
9.
be a
Sorry,
long
it's
range attack with a +10 modifier.
Plus
So you're
10.
rolling accuracy 46 plus your accuracy plus that plus. It's always going to be +10. You can't go higher than 10 on stuff. So
Okay, so accuracy is +0. Yay. So 13 plus 10, 23.
24.
yeah.
24.
What are you casting your sharpened light at?
I am casting it at now when I see Papa make a motion towards one of them.
Yeah,
Then
you'll hear
on
the
the-
crack as
Okay.
he pulls his hands apart.
Right. On the other one, I cast it on his shoes. So my sharpened light, it says that it deals burning damage. So it's going to feel kind of like a really, really, really warm oven is just in his shoes.
And you can hear this guard, and he's as there's the flash of the light, and you can see the leather of his boots smoking as he cries out in pain, because this does do damage. It does hurt. Even the guard where that metal has splintered, you can see where he's thrust forward as these shards of I assume what would be brass and wood splinter into his side where the musket is held, and the both of them cry out. Venora, you can hear this as these two men start screaming.
I immediately turn around and start walking the other way.
I'd like to look at the lady that ordered our arrest, and I would like to tell her, this is what it looks like if I wanted to cause a public disturbance.
She
Now-
stopped halfway between where Papa is and where you are, Venora, and you watch her turn back. She sees these men screaming, and she raises her musket, and she will take a shot at you.
Oh, fuck.
Hi.
So,
Hi. Hello.
yeah.
Hello, Virginia.
Yeah.
Hi. Hello. Could I? How many? Subtlety is a lost art.
She is going to get her shot off first, but then
Yeah.
you can act, and then we're going to drop into combat. So let's have a look here. Where is
Can I say something to her as she fires?
You can, yeah.
He's just going to say, I see now the song your weapon sings, and for my next trick, let me show you the devil.
So this is going to be 11. Is that enough to hit your evasion, Papa?
It is. Oh, by one. By one.
So this is you're gonna take 2 slicing damage as you see the hesitation for a second as she watches these men screaming. One whose boots are smoking, the other one whose gun appears to have just shattered from the inside out into him. And without thinking, she slings it off her shoulder, raises it, and fires off the shot. And you can smell, Venora, probably you can smell the gunpowder as the shot goes off. And you can feel the splinter of the musket ball hit you across the shoulder, Papa, as the hot metal digs itself into you.
Can I roll something to no-sell this, to just kind of like look at it like I'm fine? This is okay with me.
I mean, you can look at it and say that you're fine and it's okay with you. It still probably hurts quite a bit, though.
Oh yeah, I mean, but that's kind of his.
Yeah,
whole deal,
Papa can choose to be unfazed by it if he wishes.
Oh, okay, yeah, he's just.
Venora, you get a second to get something off as you have watched this go down, and then we're going to drop into combat. Laheb, you hear some kind of ruckus outside, and then the sound of a musket firing.
Have any guards come back into the prison since the one left to go deal with Venora, or no?
No. You expect that the young man that left is probably outside, because you can now hear screaming. And that nobody has come to replace him. Probably because he hasn't told anybody. He's just gone to go and find, like, the nearest high-ranking person outside to deal with what he thinks is somebody being suspicious.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
Where are my things being kept? Are they nearby? Do you think that they're kind of far away?
You're not entirely sure. Along the wall, you can see where various bits of clothing have been hung up, and there's like just piles of stuff left. Probably not far, but you'd have to dig through things.
Okay.
But we'll come to you when we drop into combat after Venora takes an action.
How many people are around here?
You have the lieutenant, the 2 men that she was with, including the one that kind of came out from inside the kind of prison area. Quite a few other British soldiers on the further out bits overlooking, because this is Port Royal. Lots and lots of other general people just around. This is not like a nice little empty, quiet, open place. No. People are already starting to watch, as I imagine it's a bit of a sport when a fight breaks out in any place that's known for piracy and sea merchants, to see who is it between and who's going to win.
Venora just looks over her shoulder, hoping to be able to see Laheb.
The cell would be too far down. You can just see where the light would pass in. Maybe the very tops of the bars, depending on the angle that you're looking from.
Telepathy or message.
Yeah,
I can definitely understand.
I think she just yells over her shoulder, "Firecracker, maybe now," and pulls out her pistol. So bad.
You're doing great, Viper. You're doing great. You're a great captain.
Nothing to do with that. I just feel like shooting them would be a bad idea. But I
will say that they are a militia.
Right. This is silly. This is
like, you can go any way you want to go with this, but just mechanically, so that we're clear, I will consider them militia as we're dealing with them.
She's going to aim her 2 pistols at Papa and Winifred.
You see Viper as her reputation stands, quick as anything, pull those pistols, but they are pointed at you, Winifred and Papa, not at the seethingly angry lieutenant who is making an advance towards you with her musket raised as she tries to reload her musket.
Viper moves in front of her musket, like to be in front of her as if she's like guarding her. And she's like, back the fuck off, you spooky bastards.
The two guards either side you are hearing is they did something. One of them can barely talk because he's just like half passed out on the ground at this point from his injuries.
Viper's giving you the look. Get the fuck out of here.
So what is your aim here, Venora?
My aim is to communicate to my fellow crew members that running is probably the best idea, that this cause isn't lost, but it will be if we actually get into a fight.
Okay, that is probably definitely clear. You all know each other so well.
Yeah.
You can see this is the look Venora's giving you, which is not today. What is this supposed to convey to the lieutenant who is behind you, reloading?
I ain't with them. I don't know them.
Okay, we're gonna drop into initiative now. So if you can all let me know what your evasion score is, please. Or your initiative score, sorry. I don't know why I said evasion there.
10.
10, so we have... Yeah, and Lauren?
16.
16.
Ooh.
Yeah. Lahib?
My initiative is 12.
12.
Not nearly as good as a 16, but
And Winifred?
I am a 10.
Can you and Noir roll a d6 each, please? We're just going to roll off to see who goes first.
What is it with me and tying with people?
So 3 for Noir.
This is
There we go.
Okay.
1.
this is galaxy
So
brain.
Papa will go first.
Yeah.
Galaxy brain.
And
the
then-
mission is so stealthy that it's not stealthy.
Yeah.
when it's so
There are
stealthy, you
layers.
have to go the opposite way.
Exactly.
All going according to plan.
Yeah, this was the plan.
Okay, I'm going to post this in our chat for you folks so we can all remember.
Perfect.
But
Oh, wow.
The-
the Lieutenant's got a pretty good initiative. She is a naval
No.
officer.
No.
And as you get in front, she finishes reloading her musket and says, "You're not with them.
Fuck no.
We'll shoot them then." And you see that over your shoulder, almost in a very naval formation, where they'd have rows and you get one round of muskets and the other. Over your shoulder, she fires off another shot. Probably towards you again, Papa, because you are weirdly the most threatening, I can't think why, of the two people standing before her. So let's make this roll again. 12.
That'll hit.
That'll hit. It's another 2 slicing damage
Okay.
as another musket shot rings out, and Venora, the smell of gunpowder is stronger now as it's right next to your face. And another musket ball hits you, Papa. But it is your turn next, Venora, as the lieutenant is basically ordering you to shoot them.
Yeah, is anyone nobody's holding on to them anymore, right?
No, the 2 guards that had grabbed Papa, one of
Okay.
them is still dancing around, trying to stop his boots smoking and screaming, basically bloody murder, that something isn't right.
Yeah.
And the other one, whose Papa exploded his musket from the inside out, essentially, is kind of half passed out on the ground from his injuries.
Okay. All right. Okay. She is going. Is there anything around us? Are we just under sky? Are there?
You are on the kind of the street area outside what would be the entrance to this kind of prison gallows kind of area. So it is open, but it's not open. People are now stopping and staring. You can probably imagine and see in your peripheral vision other guards starting to make their way down.
Could I have I don't know, like a sack of flour, you know how somewhere.
I can, do you know what? I could see that because this is a big trade town. I can imagine that there is, some kind of grocer bringing a cart across who perhaps has slowed down upon hearing the musket fire and isn't far from you.
Yeah. Awesome. So my idea is to give them cover, to basically obscure them by misfiring and hitting the cart to in front of them to give them time to get ahead, while with the other pistol like just shooting at the ground, basically kind of wild somewhere in between them.
I'm so here for it. Okay. I'm not. I want you to make me. I want you to make me an accuracy check.
Sure.
It's not gonna be like to hit a specific target. It's more to hit a difficulty to see if you can make it look like you're aiming at them while purposely misfiring, right? Because it's really easy to just misfire.
Right.
To make it look like it's an accident, that takes some skill. So go ahead and make me that accuracy check, and I'll tell you the difficulty. Let me get the difficulties up here. I'm gonna say you're a pretty talented duelist, so I'm gonna say this is gonna be a medium difficulty. It's a 16.
Okay.
So worth checking to see if you get any nudges or re-rolls for stuff.
I don't think so. I have specific stuff with my pistols. Like I can fire the two at once. And I have the assassin shot. That gives me a bonus, but if we're just doing straight accuracy, I don't think so.
Yeah, because this isn't really like, you're not really trying to actually hit. It's the opposite of trying to do that, right? It's like fighting every instinct to hit the thing. 15. One short, I'm afraid. But you start firing these shots off. And you do hit these bags of flour, which they don't necessarily explode, but you do kind of get the, imagine what actually happens is it breaks through the cart and perhaps the flour kind of dumps off the edge as this poor merchant like drops the cart to, run, and the flour slumps off and there's a big plume of white dust everywhere. And the dirt kicks up near you, Winifred, where a musket ball from Venora's gun shatters in the dirt at your feet. But I mean, you have no idea. Venora wouldn't have an idea of how realistic this looks. But you've caused some chaos. Next up, Laheb, what are you doing? You can hear the sounds of gunfire now going off and the sounds of Venora's pistols.
Yeah,
shot,
and then
2 shots.
I also heard Venora yell out, basically telling me to move now. So I am going to try to pick the lock using one of the lock picks that I was given of my cell.
Okay. In which case then, how are you trying to go about picking this lock? Are you trying to be really careful and like getting it exact, or are you just going for like the shove the lock picks in and just keep jamming them until something works?
I think in the interest of making it not worse for the crew and not implicating them any further in potentially things that are happening around the jail, I'm trying to make it leave the least amount of traces possible. So I think I am trying to be careful about it, probably working a little bit slower than I would otherwise, but.
Okay, in which case, go ahead and use accuracy, because this is all about kind of like the fine motor movements and really doing it so you can't tell it's been done. Oh, yeah, with an 18. It takes you a minute to kind of get it in. It's been a while since you've had lockpicks in your hand, considering you've been sat in here for a good few months. But suddenly you hear the click as the lock is undone. And the cell swings open just a bit. Is there anything else you'd like to do?
Yes. So I want to take a quick peek into Dorna's cell. Is there anything left in the cell of hers? Any belongings? Nothing like that?
No. She didn't really have anything that she would take off. She had a shawl, but you would have seen her escorted out. She took that with her.
Okay.
In the other cell beside you is a Safa, still kind of back in the corner, just as he has been since coming back, and just kind of removed. And you can still hear Lauren further down.
Okay. Also looking around. Actually, okay. See, now I'm debating. I'm like, do I let other people out or do I just make a beeline for my stuff? Well, we're gonna need to come back for Dorna anyway. So actually, yeah, I'm gonna like yell out to like basically just everybody in the cells anyway, and say, I'm coming back for you later. Do not tell anybody what happened. And I'm gonna like swing the jail cell shut. I imagine I can't lock it, but I'm just gonna like.
It's probably one of those things where like you've one of those spring locks. So as soon as you shut it behind you, it locks.
So it locks.
Again.
Okay,
Yeah.
Cool.
I don't know if that's historically accurate, but that's what we're going with.
And then I'm gonna go make a beeline for wherever, like I think in the direction of where my stuff might be being kept, or where everybody's stuff might be being kept, and then try and move there.
Okay, so you managed to head over. There is what looks like a kind of slightly rotting wooden trunk that's had stuff shoved in it. It sits off its hinges a bit, stuff around it, and you just start rummaging to look for your belongings. And that brings us round to you, Papa, after having been shot twice by the lieutenant, and now you can see Venora, who's told you to essentially make a break for it. Flour going everywhere. The sound of Venora's pistols going off.
Papa's gonna start walking towards the general and like just put a finger in the bullet hole and lick it. The problem with guns is that you wound something and that you don't kill it. Now all you've done is let out what I've been trying to keep inside to keep you safe. And now I'm going to cast Shielding Aura, and what it's going to do is it's just going to coat him in the blood, and it's going to take on a very devilish form.
Okay. So this one is, you may cast this on a single target with a medium range. That target counts as being in heavy cover and reduces any damage taken by 2 to a minimum of 2. So you need to hit a casting number of 14 to do this.
I will again roll 4, taking 2 hits to my courage.
If you're rolling 4, it'll be 3 hits to your courage.
3 hits to my courage,
yeah.
Okay. With my and I can nudge abjuration if I need to. So I've got that working for me. So yeah, 18.
18, that is enough to hit it. And that's what we see. We see that coating as something strange and otherworldly. Maybe you could probably, Winifred, you can feel the wind changes ever so slightly as you see this happen. Is there anything else you want to do, Papa?
Yeah, I would like to get in her grill and pull out the machete. And he's just going to whisper, the machete doesn't have that problem.
To get to her, you would have to move Venora out of the way, because Venora is currently stood in front of her, pistols out, while she is back trying to reload her musket.
Then I think this devilish form will lean over and say that to Captain Viper. The machete doesn't have that problem.
Venora, where no one else can see, just like her eyes roll into the back of her head. And then she makes like a sound and kind of moves.
Yeah, she's seen this before.
Yeah.
Okay, and are you leaving it at that? Are you trying to what are you trying to do? Just
he's trying to intimidate. He's trying to intimidate her. This entire time, he hasn't really taken an offensive action to hurt these people, but now he's getting close. If she takes another shot, he's gonna cut her head off.
Okay, I mean the upside is you are now too close for her to effectively use that musket because you're like,
And he's got heavy cover anyway, so it all works out.
You can't tell if it's having an effect, but she does have a look as you're suddenly there and coated in blood with this machete, and now Venora is out of the way as well. Winifred, what are you doing? Papa has gone the opposite direction to where you feel like Venora had intended you to go.
Well, captain's orders. I'm just gonna head off to a tavern like I said I was going to, and just but along the way I would like to cast Fata Morugna.
Yeah.
Am I saying that right? It says that I can create something up to the size of a small ship.
You can create a fog-like mirage.
Right. Could I just have a general heavy fog just sort of start to fill the area?
Yeah.
Nothing, no people shaped, no boat shapes, no shapes, just a heavy fog.
Go ahead and make that roll. You need to hit a casting number of 6 to do it.
Right. So I'm gonna. Question. How does courage come back?
By resting, by drinking alcohol.
Okay. Wow. Okay, good. So I'll spend two points for that.
So you roll 2 dice. You do get a +2 bonus
Yes.
as well because of your connection with the natural.
7, yay!
7.
Just barely.
You do, and as you flee and make your escape, a fog starts kind of drifting in, despite the strange, bright, sunny day. And we swing back around as you find the nearest tavern to dive into and kind of make yourself at home among the people drinking in here. And I can imagine, like, put your pot down on the counter and just get a drink.
Yeah.
So you can still kind of hear and see what's going on as people are now shouting. Somebody's fighting with the British. Like, people want to go and see who's taking shots at the guards.
Yeah, go look outside.
And that brings us back round to the lieutenant, who is not very pleased that you are up in her grill, so to speak, with a machete, as she takes a few steps back and realizes she can't use her musket, and she discards it to the floor and pulls her cutlass out. And she almost goes down for you, Venora, to grab you and kind of haul you up and pull her behind her. She's taking her duty as a guard fairly seriously. And she starts barking out for aid. And that's what she's going to spend her action doing. Is she just brings the cutlass up as a means of defense, picks you up and starts walking you backwards away from Papa. As she essentially just says, get back, and starts calling in people. And you can start to hear the sound of muskets loading, people coming in. And that brings us down to you, Venora.
Venora is going to head to the door of the jail.
Okay. Do you break free of where she is?
Yeah.
Or are you just letting her walk you back until you kind of get close enough to...
I mean, yeah, I'm fine with that. It's more the, like, I don't know what that is. Like, get me away from that.
Yeah, she's just shouting for you to get back, and she is heading in that kind of direction.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily suspicious, you don't think, to head off that way, because that is where more people are coming from, and that is away from the danger.
There's fog. We're in fog.
There is fog. It's not like so dense that it suddenly like obscures everything, because it is only a mirage, but it does obscure vision.
What kind of stuff would she like have on her?
The lieutenant,
Yeah,
probably a brace of pistols.
Mhm.
She hasn't drawn yet because that required, loading and dropping, and so far she's not really sure what Papa is, but she's seen people's guns explode. So
Yeah.
and the cutlass that she is holding, she's discarded the musket now.
Yeah.
off to the side, which is now ahead of her, between her and
Yeah.
Papa.
Yeah.
But that's about it that you can tell, unless you want to
Yeah.
try and pick her pockets.
I mean, that's what I was thinking. There's fog. I'm good at this.
You can pick her pockets and then dash to the door of the jail if you like.
Yeah, that's what I want to do.
I imagine, like, as she's picking you up, you take the moment to, like,
Yeah.
grab onto her clothing to pull
Yeah.
yourself up.
Yeah.
And you get the chance to slip your hand into her
Mhm.
pockets. Go ahead and make me that savvy test then.
Cool. I have re-rolls on this. 15.
15.
I can re-roll the 1.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is that just a d6?
Yeah, just roll a d6.
5 instead.
5, so it's going to make it 19. Yeah, as you kind of like pull on that long jacket that she wears to get yourself back up as she's trying to protect you, you slip your hand into her pockets and you can feel there is a ring of keys.
I love keys.
And you can slip them out. The sound of them on the chain is covered by all of the shouting that's going on. And you can slip them into your own pocket. So she just pushes you backwards.
Yeah.
And if you make towards the door of the jail, a
Yep.
couple of the guards there will kind of almost open the door for you and let you in.
Yeah.
It is the safest way away.
Great.
You are not left alone in there, however. There is a guard who comes in with you. He starts the whole, are you okay? What happened? Can you testify that this man is a danger? The usual, he's being a policeman. That's what he's doing.
Yeah.
And somebody who can hear this as you have managed to find your stuff, Lahib, and it's all kind of in whatever kind of pouch you might have had it in, whether you had some kind of bag or whether it was attached to kind of belt pouches, but you managed to gather up what you think is all of your items. There might be some trivial things missing, but for the most part, anything that's on your sheet is now back in your possession. And you can hear, you heard the sound of a door opening and slamming shut, and you can hear Venora's voice as there's a guard who's rapidly asking her things, just further up along the corridor. Sound echoes, so it's still quite a distance, but you can hear the sounds of her voice coming down towards you.
Is that the only exit to the jail?
You suspect there is another one further down the other way. It's like one long kind of corridor, which the exits are not so much either end, but they kind of come off and up and out.
Okay, I am going to head in the opposite direction of where I hear Venora's voice, because I don't want to get caught by a guard, and I'm going to try and sneak out the other exit.
Okay, so you run out the other way and head up the exit that similarly looks to mirror the one that's not far from your cell. And as you come up, you can see they're drawn by whatever's going on outside, as the guard presence here seems to have dissipated a little bit as people have either gone to watch, maybe people have taken it as an opportunity to skive off a bit because things are happening and they can claim they were somewhere, or have gone to help. There are still some guards around though, and you've still got to get to like an exit out of this more fortified area onto the streets. How are you kind of going about getting out of here?
Okay, so in my items, I have a powdered wig. So I'm going to put that on as an attempt to disguise myself a little bit. I also have clerk's clothes as well. So I'm going to try as quickly as I possibly can to try and just like at least just change the outer layer of clothing to make it look like to just make myself look as different as possible. And then I am going to, you said that this was just like a long, narrow corridor, right?
Where the cells are, yeah. As you come out, it opens up a little bit into kind of the small gallows courtyard where people are hung. The magistrate's office is somewhere over the other side. But there is the exit out onto kind of Port Royal proper here. I can imagine that those clerk's clothes are maybe something that you picked up from the belongings that were left there. So as you're making your way out, you can certainly cover yourself up, throw like this nice kind of semi-fresh shirt over the top of your own clothes, and a kind of heavy coat and your powdered wig. There are a couple of guards standing in this archway, which would take you out into Port Royal proper, away from this courtyard, away from the prison and the magistrate's office. Go ahead.
I was going to say, the best way to get out of somewhere or to get into somewhere you're not supposed to be is to just do it confidently. So I am going to walk out very confidently as if I'm definitely supposed to be leaving, not a prisoner at all, and just kind of like maybe like nod at like one of the guards as I walk out, just to like acknowledge that they're there, and just like not too quickly to make it look like I'm running, but just like a brisk pace.
Okay.
Beeline for the exit.
In which case, I'm going to say, go ahead and make me a savvy test, and I will give you the +1 bonus that the powdered wig gives you, because all of these dudes are probably also in powdered wigs.
Okay, perfect.
Looking kind of fancy and off a cereal. And I'm not going to give you the -1 modifier because they don't necessarily know who you are.
Okay. Never mind. In that case, add 1 to that roll, because
Okay.
I did take the -1 as well. So 16.
16. You start to make your way out, and you kind of nod at them in that kind of official way, as if some kind of greeting, a hello, an acknowledgement, and they eye you for a moment, and then one of them nods, and the other one, who was kind of looking at you, nods as well, and they go back to standing guard in the sweltering heat. And you manage to walk right out, and as you come out and get round, you can see the drama that is unfolding here as you see Papa holding a machete among this kind of wispy fog that's mysteriously kicked up that you have a suspicion is not meant to be there. Venora is not here, but you can see the lieutenant brandishing her cutlass, but also reaching for a pistol on the brace that she wears, as other guards begin to move in on this area. And this is probably the first time in months that you have seen Papa.
Looking as creepy as ever. Gotta love that guy.
And that brings us, speaking of Papa.
He's just going to look at the lieutenant and say, "You're going to die today, not because you wounded me, but because you have abused the authority of flesh and blood, of an authority that you will see very soon. Does not matter." And that's going to be him casting Sharpened Light one more time.
At her.
Yep.
Go ahead and how many dice are you using?
I've got 9. I am going to take another hit of 3.
Mm-hmm. So you're rolling 4 dice there.
Mm-hmm. I don't even think I need to roll. It's only 9 and I get +2. So you know what? No, I'm gonna roll 3.
Okay, so you're taking 2 points of courage.
Yeah.
Off then.
3d6 +2. Yeah, I hit it easy.
Yeah, you hit it easily. So,
So
go ahead and make your attack. So 4d6 + 10.
23.
Yeah.
So I'm imagining she's like kind of backing up towards the wall of the jail, and this time the cracks come on the walls behind her, and she's going to hear a bunch of those 10 bells that he made for the crewmen, and it's going to sound like a couple miles away. A bunch of souls are singing, "Yo ho, hoist the colors," and all the skeleton hands are going to reach out and touch her.
And I imagine this all happens with this this crack again.
Yeah.
It's as if something tears in the reality. And you can see her for a second as this touches her, screaming, as this brilliant, bright light almost burns her. And you can hear the song, and so can she, but nobody else can. Nobody else can see this apart from this flash that comes from behind her. as she falls to her knees, still alive, and you can see the back of her uniform has burned away.
And then he's just gonna smile and look at her and go, "That's the song my weapon sings."
Anything else Papa wants to do? As you can see now, more men are closing in. More soldiers.
Do you want more? Do you want to go with them? Or do you submit? Because if you don't call away your men, I'll call forward mine.
You say this to her, and you don't even know if she's listening. Oh, whoops. 1 second. I just need to roll some dice.
Go for it.
You don't hear her response, not because she says one, because you don't hear a voice, but you feel something. You know what it's like when something reaches from the other side, and you feel that in the back of your spine, like it's pulling you, as if there's a thread connected and it's tugging gently, and it's tugging you towards that jail. Not towards her, but towards that building. This isn't some other worldly thing. This isn't one of the creatures, one of the beings that sometimes come to you in your sleep or in your rituals. This is someone tugging on a string.
You can see he's kind of like looming over, and then without explanation, his attention goes elsewhere. And he goes, "Forgive me. I have other matters to attend to. I take it we're done here." And he's going to just stop paying attention to her unless she draws his attention again.
She is still calling for somebody to come and arrest you, but it is there's a lot of people who are taking some steps forward until they get too far forward, and then they kind of wait for somebody else to go forward as they're watching this happen. And slowly, as it's clear there is no more fighting necessarily happening and this fog is picking up, people slowly find something else, another bar fight to take interest with, and you're left with this scene as these soldiers are very slowly and cautiously trying to kind of get closer and closer in. Winifred, what are you doing? Because you can kind of see this through the fog that you've created from the from the tavern that you're in.
Does it look like Papa is going to be able to walk away without any issues? Does it look like anyone is coming right at him?
Nobody's rushing for him, but there are a
Right.
significant number of people here. Getting out of this is going to be like you would guess that his chance of just being able to slip away is not going to be easy. Like, he can't just walk right out of this. He has very clearly done something, and it has got people on edge.
Okay. Well, I would like to. So I'm holding the fog spell, and it says that it will last for 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Can I cast another spell while I'm like maintaining concentration on that?
I believe so.
Okay.
I would say I'm not going to spend ages pouring through the quick start to double check. I would say as long as that spell doesn't require you to do anything for an extended period of time, yes.
Okay. Great. Could I cast Sharpened Light again on... I would like to cast it upon... What are the roofs of the buildings around us? Are any made of wood or straw or anything that could catch a flame?
A lot of wood. A lot of these buildings are very ramshackle that have been built. There are some that are built of brick. Some of the newer ones have brick, but a lot of them have been put together very quickly as the rapid expansion of Port Royal happens. People grab whatever building materials they can to build new inns, new taverns, new places to trade. It's just
Wonderful.
kind of...
Wonderful. Okay. So I'm going to roll 3 dice plus my +2 modifier to do the sharpened light, and that's a 14. That meets my casting number. So I cast it upon a building as far away as I can cast it. Kind of beyond Papa, so that people have to turn around and maybe look at what's going on over there.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you can do that. You want to set it. You want to set the roof on fire.
Right. And at the same time, she's also grabbing someone's cup off the table and swinging down some grog.
Okay, so you cast the spell,
And
and there is a crack of what sounds like, I imagine, lightning, which is odd because it's a bright, sunny day. And in this streak of light, suddenly the roof of this wooden building, perhaps an inn, perhaps a tavern, most likely, some kind of drinking house, erupts in flames. And it takes a second for people to notice, and still you start hearing the shouts, "Fire! Fire!" And people are clamoring and rushing, and the guards that are beginning to surround Papa kind of look over, and they are confused about what to do. Their lieutenant is barely able to speak on her hands and knees, and some of them basically decide that this isn't worth whatever freaky shit's happening here, and start running towards that as you begin to hear calls for water. For help to get people out, and suddenly that is the new exciting thing happening, and you manage to swipe this grog. It is not particularly nice tasting. Where's my drunkenness table here?
Probably not.
Because the only thing with grog is it does make you drunk when you drink it. So this is going to give you back this will give you back 2 points of courage. Note down that your drunken state right now is merry. So you can kind of, it's not super strong, but you can kind of feel that slightly heady feeling that you get after you've had a half decent swig of grog. Because I imagine you down it, you're not.
Oh yeah. She just opens her throat right up and just lets it pour straight down to her stomach.
Yeah, you can feel the slight flush in your cheeks. That kind of feeling where you start to feel a little bit warm.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna, for the sake of this, I'm gonna drop us out of combat because I think the main threat is dealt with aside from this lieutenant who's on her hands and knees and who looks like shell-shocked. She has no idea what's just happened, what she's just experienced. So what does everyone want to do?
Well, as soon as we drop out of combat, all of the blood just kind of pulls back and goes back into the bullet wounds.
Whoa.
I'm gonna go ahead.
Winifred just goes back into the tavern and finds some more grog. That's all.
You can probably come out with a couple of cups that you've
I'll definitely be needing that. Thank you.
Yeah, Papa. Yeah.
It itches.
I imagine you must. It's weird.
And if you drink one of those tankards, Papa, regain 2 points of courage. And also mark down that you are merry in terms of your drunkenness.
Oh God. I never thought about what drunk Papa would be like. Okay, we're gonna do this. We're doing this.
Yeah.
You're not even tipsy yet. So you kind of have a scale. You have sober, then warmed, then merry, and then you start getting into tipsy, and then things start having actual effects.
All right.
So the more you drink of this, the more courage you'll get back, but the drunker you're gonna get. Essentially.
I'm okay with this.
But yeah, you two can feel the kind of warm feeling, that flush in your cheeks. It's not great grog, but it's decent.
Gets the job done.
Maybe we've got to go to the prison.
I think
Something's telling me we have business there.
Lahib, you can join up with Winifred and Papa, as I imagine that you move somewhere still within the area, but maybe out of this kind of immediate vicinity where people might still be looking, but you can definitely meet up. And you obviously recognize Winifred and Papa, and Winifred and Papa, you recognize Laheb.
Well,
I would have taken my wig off at this point as well, because that was just to get me out the door. I would have taken it off and like put it in my bag.
All you know is that a few months back you tried to capture a prize and it went south, and Laheb was one of the people that didn't make it back aboard the Headsman, and you had no idea what happened to them. But here they are, standing before you.
look who it is.
Laheb is just gonna like swagger on towards the group and like clap a hand on like Papa's back and say, well, if it isn't you two, how's it been without me on the ship?
Oh, child. And she just gives you just a big old granny hug and orders some more grog for everyone.
I imagine like you pull away into a tavern, some grog is brought around.
Yeah.
You can drink it if you wish to drink it for courage points. You can do that. You're gonna get drunker though, or you can sit around and just like sip it as you chat.
I think I'm gonna sip it because I haven't lost any courage points, so I don't necessarily need it.
That is fair. As you sit down, and I imagine somebody's going to have to maybe explain to Laheb what has happened in their absence. We switch over to you, Venora, as you are inside the kind of the jail proper, and you've been asked lots of questions about Papa. Do you know him? You know what happened? What did you see? And then you smell burning flesh as dragged in through the door. Is what appears to be the lieutenant, half conscious, with another man and woman literally just under the arms, just dragging her knees and heels dragging across the floor, as the entirety of her back, it looks like the back of her jacket has been burned into her skin. And they just begin pouring, you can hear somebody pouring water as she's dragged off to another room.
Venora is kind of been babbling as best she can to make it look like she's afraid and in shock. She starts saying like she saw the sea witch and it was the sea witch who did that, and then freaking out like, oh wait, isn't she supposed to be here? Where is she?
And the officer listens to this and he's noting it down. As soon as you start babbling about the sea witch, he's like, no, Captain, no, she is here. We have her secure. This is an entirely different person. Can't possibly
She's
be her.
shaking her head and like describing seeing like a woman through on the street that matches the description.
No, Captain, we're talking about the gentleman with the painted face.
Yes, but there was a woman, and she like just describes her. Are you sure she's secure?
Would you be able to identify this woman if you saw her?
She nods, but like still has like, you know, that look in her eye.
He looks around as if looking for somebody and doesn't find anyone.
Mm-hmm.
And goes, okay, come with me. And you get the sense that he was looking for permission and decided he wasn't going to spend time seeking it out and just took the initiative. And he leads you down a corridor and down a few steps into this long corridor. It doesn't smell great down here. It's damp. It's hot. It's quite dark. You can see the rows and rows of iron-barred cells that sit next to each other. And he leads you further down to a cell and looks at it, slightly horrified. Where is she? Wait here.
Mm-hmm.
And he points like in your face, and he
Mhm.
turns on his heel, and you hear him go back a little further down the corridor you've just come from, and you can hear murmuring.
Mhm.
And then he comes back, and he's holding onto the arm of a woman in this very utilitarian kind of dress, these beautiful beads and small bits of jewelry intertwined that she's wearing.
Mhm.
Is this her? Is this the woman you saw?
Do I think this is her based on that sketch?
You do. This does look like the woman known as Dorna.
Mhm. She kind of, Venora kind of like furrows her brow and says, I'm not sure.
What do you mean you're not sure? You said you could identify her.
Well,
And as he says this, he's walking her to the cell, which she unlocks and places her in. And the whole time, she just looks at you very curiously.
Mhm. She looked different.
Different.
Well, you've heard some of what they're saying out there. Skeletal hands and shite. She looked different.
Well, then I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to come with me and answer some more questions.
She nods.
And he turns again, quite clipped as if he's very annoyed, and begins to make his way out. And just as he exits, when he's just out of that, just goes up the steps and round the edge, you feel something tug at the back of your waistcoat. And you turn round, and the woman, who you believe is Dorna, has her hand reaching through, as if holding it out to receive something.
I slip the keys in her hand.
Oh, okay. And you give her the keys, and she looks at them. But then she looks down at your arm.
Oh shit.
So you are the one, and she says in a very thick Jamaican accent.
The one who will be rescuing you today. Yes. And I ignore the feeling that I have and just rattle off where the ship is.
And she looks at the keys in her hand. She puts them into a pocket in her skirts. Tell your friend with the face. I will see him soon.
I'll tell all my friends with faces. She goes to follow the guard, but she smiles.
Who you've noticed like pops his head back round and says, "Miss, now."
Yep.
And brings you back round, and there is more questioning, and we head back over to the tavern, where Winifred, Papa, and Laheb, you are sat just enjoying drinks, wondering where the hell Venora has got to. What are you doing here? How much have you filled Laheb in on recent events?
Yes. Over that grog. I let her finish it and buy her another one. I apologize. Them another one if need be, in order to tell the entire story, and in hushed tones if need be too, depending on how many people are around.
A ship being eaten. I don't.
Blackness. Just blackness. Never seen anything like it in my life.
How much have you all been drinking?
You know, I was asleep. Kiki saw it too. Everyone saw it. I mean, we're the only ones who are left.
Wait, what do you mean? Where's Valaire and the rest of the crew?
Valaire stayed with the ship. Went down with it.
Oh, that bastard. Oh my.
I know. he who knows what happened. It was just empty sea after that.
So wait, who is responsible for, you said the new ship, the Dreamer?
Yes, that is Captain Haid. Captain Haid helped us with that.
You didn't make a deal that I'm supposed to be involved in now, did you?
We are now. Have some more grog.
I didn't know I was going to be part of a cult today, but I suppose stranger things have happened.
Last, I didn't know either. I didn't know either. This is all very, very new to me.
The truth has been called a drunk man's thoughts multiple times today. And this organization we don't understand is now called a cult. You would think one who was gifted by fate a shield in the shape of a cage would understand that there are blessings in things you can't understand.
Now, I don't know if I would call my crew abandoning me a blessing, but I suppose if I didn't have to go down with the ship, then perhaps it is one after all.
If your
Glad to
crew
have
didn't
you.
abandon you, then you would be claimed by the same darkness that claimed the rest of them. A shield in the shape of a cage.
And Mahab just kind of like raises their glass and like takes a sip of the grog.
I imagine that during this time you chatting, you also fill Laheb in with what you were doing here in the first place, which was after speaking with Haid, who had obviously said that she was taking an interest in these strange ship occurrences and disappearances with ships on her own volition without informing Jennings, who she essentially answers to as being an acolyte of the Twisting Way. Sent you off to find this sea witch who is supposed to be standing trial and basically bring her back and ask her what she knows of what's going on. And Laheb, as soon as they answer this, you know immediately who they're talking about. It is Dorna, who shared the cell beside you.
You know, you got a pair of tits on you, and you do something mysterious, they're gonna call you a sea witch. You just I've been called a sea witch before.
In all fairness, I do not have tits, but I have often been assigned the label of witch.
Well, you know, Dorna really is something. She had the cell next to me, and I don't know about witch, but she's certainly skilled in unsavory things, let's say. Honestly, I liked her more for it.
She would do well with us. We need that kind of we need that right now, I think.
And I'm sure that you can be also filled in on, you know, what her charges were. The prominent one, Laheb, that you would know is that she was accused of trying to poison the governor. Is there any other information you wish to share among yourselves before I switch over to what Venora is up to?
Can I heal myself?
Do you have a healing spell?
I do.
Then yes, you may.
I'm going to use Healing Balm, which requires 2 abjuration and 1 studies. So I'm just going to roll that real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Rolling.
Go ahead.
I'm going to roll 3 abjuration and 1 studies. But I get a +2 on the studies.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you only have to you pick which of the requirements are just
Oh, okay.
yeah. So all you have to do is you're using abjure. You have to hit 8 and then you regain
Okay.
D6 health points.
All right, then in that case, I'm just gonna use the abjuration. I got a 22. Nope, I rolled D8.
Oh, you rolled
sorry.
D8s.
Nope,
For
so
the ease,
not
that's half that. That's 11.
Oh, okay, I just re-rolled it and I still hit the hit that goal.
Cool. Go ahead and heal that 6 that you rolled then.
Alrighty. So I'm gonna sit.
While we're talking, Lahib is going to, when they talk about wanting to break like Dorna out of the prison, Lahib is going to share that they believe that it's going to be a relatively easy task from the outside because the guards, they just, honestly, they don't look like they've been trained for the role. They look uncomfortable, unprepared for what they've gotten themselves into. And so Lahib believes that they're probably just understaffed. People keep getting killed. You know, the British haven't been able to maintain their ranks so much lately. And so they're probably just picking men and women off the street and training them into this role. Shouldn't be too hard.
Papa's gonna nod and Winifred, might I borrow 2 strands of hair, please?
Mm-hmm.
And he takes the 2 strands of hair, he puts it in both gun wounds, spits on them, and then you see the blood comes up and then starts to seal the wound close until it's completely healed.
Okay, and you watch this, and I imagine luckily everyone else in this tavern is too busy talking about the fire or talking about something going on earlier to really pay attention to the 3 of you kind of huddled around this table. Venora, you are eventually let go by this this young guard who has asked you so many questions, and who was deeply frustrated that he couldn't match the description you were telling him to Dorna. And I imagine you led him around the houses a little bit with your descriptions of events, but eventually you are allowed to leave, and as you make your way out, wondering how in the hell you find your friends, as you start to make your way into Port Royal proper, through the many taverns, somebody takes the top of your wrist very gently from behind you, and as you turn, it is Dorna. So you're the one.
You're quick.
You gave me keys. I saw no reason to hang around.
All right. And she kind of like slips the wrist holding into like a, one of these.
She lets go of your wrist. You
Yeah.
do notice though that as she grabs you, as she lets go, she brushes her thumb over that iridescent, scaly bit of skin.
All right, Dorna. Okay.
You have friends.
I have at least one who's going to be spending some time in the brig.
Yes, the one with the face.
Right.
Come. And she gently starts leading you through this crowd.
Sure.
And you walk for a short period of time before you come to one of 100 drinking houses. And she just weaves her way through the tables until Winifred, Lahib, and Papa, you see Venora accompanied by an older Jamaican woman in this very utilitarian dress. Lahib, you recognize this as Dorna, and she takes a seat at the table opposite you, Papa. And Venora, you can take a seat too if you wish. There is grog here on the table.
Mm-hmm.
Good to see you, Captain. And
Dorna.
partner. Do we want to be lingering around here?
Was that you I felt pulling?
I can always sense the one caught in the web. She gives you a very sly smile, an understanding smile.
I am pleased to meet you.
She looks away from you after holding your gaze that little bit longer. Why have you come here to Port Royal to me?
I thought you might know something about what happened to our vessel.
I know many things. What happened to your vessel?
I am trapped in the web. I would look the spider in its eyes.
You are not trapped in the web.
I'm not.
You are like me. Not quite a fly, not quite a spider. Sometimes we can tug on that web, and she makes fingers as if she's weaving something. Sometimes we are caught by it. I thought I had been caught by it. But then you tugged. And I tugged back. And this is like watching another pupper. Like, it's just, and Laheb, you've never heard Dorna talk like this. And I imagine if you explain what happened to your vessel, she takes a long time to sit and think. And she just stares dead ahead at Papa with the same, like, looking through look that he gives you quite often.
I vigorously drink more grog.
Are we moving up the scale? Is that
Yeah,
With-
yeah. Anyone
Having
who
to do
was,
the story more than once, yeah.
drinking, anyone who was already at Mary, you are now tipsy. You now take a -1 modifier on all attacks or spells that have a target.
Great. And how many more courage points?
You can have another 2.
Wonderful.
I am also tipsy, but I'm full up now. Gang. He's going to just smile and laugh to himself. A shield in the shape of a cage. It was only a matter of time before this moment happened. It's necessary.
I think perhaps your friend here has seen more. Haven't you? She looks at you with this knowing look.
I tell them often, but they're often discarded as like drunk man's thoughts.
Not you, Papa. Your friend. And she looks over at you, Laheb.
Oh,
You have seen things. But do you know what you have seen?
I have read things that people have tried to describe, and it's been difficult to put them into words.
But you have seen men changed. Right before your eyes. Did you see them?
I did. But is that so unusual in prison? Is that so unusual when they could have been tortured? Their very essence beaten out of them. I don't think that we need to jump to these odd conclusions.
Did you see marks on those men?
GM question, did I?
No, you actually saw when you asked Asaf if he had been injured, if they had hurt him or threatened him, you saw the way he looked over his arms and there were no marks or bruises there, and he said no.
There are ways to break a person's spirit that don't involve hurting them physically.
Except why take them out at night? When all all around are dreaming, but they are awake.
Lorna, what do you think is happening here? I suspect that you know more than you're letting on.
I came here because something called. The stories of men, sailors who couldn't sleep. And when I heard their stories, I knew something was wrong. And I tried to find the man whose dreams disturbed the most. And they put me in prison for trying to cure his ailment.
The governor.
Mm.
Well, we've been having weird dreams too.
She gives you that look that Papa gives you when he realizes something but doesn't say what it is.
Okay, great. So you really think the governor is behind it?
The governor is part of the congregation. They realize the dreams of the priests, but they are not him.
The congregation. Like they're worshiping something?
Perhaps. It speaks to them. Maybe. But they are part of that which has never died. They speak to the things that talk in their tombs and lie awake dreaming in the dark. But the governor, he is just the congregation, as are the rest of them. If this is who I think. But there is something bigger afoot here.
Yeah, it blotted out the sky. It like ate the stars. How many people are part of this congregation?
Do any of you know the ways? Those that seek.
Laheb just kind of like plays with their necklace at this and says, what help would that be if one did know?
You might understand what is going on here. But I must know why you are here. Many move on. Who sent you to find a sea witch? Why?
We heard you were in need of assistance, and you might help tell us some information, maybe regarding where our ship went, if it exists at all anymore.
Oh, I'm quite certain that if your ship was not sunk, it still floats. But who? Who sent you to me? And what will you do with me now?
Eliza Hade sent us.
The acolytes. You work for them?
No.
Good. That man, Jennings, he is cruel and he plays with forces that fight against being used for what he uses them for. He is a fool if he thinks that he can use them without them using him back.
These acolytes, are they part of the congregation?
No. The acolytes of the Twisting Way. Henry Jennings, his crew believe that they can take the powers that threaten this world and turn them against itself. Admirable, but foolish. Perhaps not unlike yourself, harnessing powers beyond these.
And committing acts of cruelty. And she looks at Papa, remembering the burned back of the lieutenant.
Was that cruel?
She was just caught in the web.
And now
Doesn't mean
she's
you have to treat her like a fly.
She's been made aware of her situation. Tomorrow will be the greatest day of her life. Food will taste better in her mouth. Drink will taste better down her gullet. She got to live.
She will die.
We all will. That makes
She will die
no one.
tonight.
Ooh.
Perhaps I got a little overzealous.
Perhaps. If you want to know what happened to your ship, the answer lies with the governor and whatever congregation he serves. But be careful. For a port ruled by the British, I've heard the Spanish tongue here.
If there's unrest on this port, maybe we can use it. Might come in handy.
I agree with that.
Find those who serve within the Buscadores del Agua Soñando. Perhaps you will find the congregation the governor serves.
Seems that many of the cellmates we had were being indoctrinated, oriented into this congregation.
Perhaps used for something else. I tried to cure the governor of what ails him. And I saw things in his office. Bring them to me.
Is that still your objective now that you're out of jail?
There is no curing him. The dreams he has will drive him mad or drive him to death. But bring me what he has. Bring me the statue he has, and I will tell you if your ship still floats.
All right. What will we know the statue when we see it? How big is this statue? Will we need a cart for it?
No. You can hold it in the palm of your hand. It's carved of a monstrous figure, made of strange green stone.
Easy enough.
We should leave. I should leave now. They will know I'm missing. They will be searching. Where is your ship?
I look to the captain.
Yeah, I give her basic directions.
Okay. Do you tell her what the ship is called?
Yeah.
When you give her these directions, I imagine as you begin to leave the tavern and just move areas, you mention the name of the ship. And it should be on the ship sheet, which I may have accidentally closed, which would be...
What are you looking for? I got it open.
Here we go. I'm going to probably say this wrong, but as you mention the name of the ship, you direct her towards the Dreamer. You know, it's the one docked off of here. There is a rowboat here. She tells you she won't need the rowboat, but when you tell her the name of the ship, she looks you in the eye, Venora. Do not tell any the name of your ship. They will come looking for La Soñada. I've said that completely wrong. Let me see if I had a pronunciation up here.
Soñadora?
Soñadora?
Soñadora, yeah. They will come looking. She looks panicked as she refers to your ship by a Spanish name and makes her way, presumably towards the Dreamer.
Before she leaves, Lahab is just gonna like throw a pouch of like 20 reals over to her and says, make sure that you get yourself there in one piece. You're always my favorite cellmate.
She picks up the reals and hands them back to you. I have no need for the money. I will find my way to the ship. She smiles and she lingers on you, Papa. You're not caught in the web yet. And she lingers on all of you just a bit longer. Venora on you again as she spots that iridescent scaled skin. If you make it back alive, Captain, we will talk. And then in a moment, she's lost in the crowd, leaving you standing outside of a new drinking house with new people.
Papa is gonna immediately stand up, bow his head to his crew, and start to walk off.
Okay.
He is going to head towards. He's going to try to figure out where the infirmary is, and he's going to try and sneak in.
The infirmary at the prison? Or just like...
Wherever they're holding the lieutenant.
Okay, I imagine that that's not going to be too easy to, like, figure out where she is. The more thing is going to be difficult sneaking in, because people saw you.
He doesn't ever do this, but he is going to find water and dunk his face in it.
And wash the paint off. And you do that. You wash it off in this barrel of water that you imagine is put out front somewhere for animals to drink from or something. And as you look down into the water that now it's gone cloudy from the white paint now in it.
He's making sure like he's doing this well away from his party. He doesn't like it. Yeah.
You look back at yourself and see your face without the paint for the first time in probably many years. I imagine he never takes it off. He just like touches it up.
He never takes it off. And the second he sees his face, he like throws the water down.
And as you scatter the water and it spills, the image of your face warps in the liquid as you walk away. And you can probably easily begin to inquire what happened to the woman with the burned back. Everyone is talking about it. You've only got to get near some soldiers in one of the drinking holes, and you can find your way there.
He's going to speak with his natural dialect as well. So he's going full Jamaican. Just
I'll say you managed to make it in to this infirmary, and you can, you come up with an excuse of some kind, and you can see the lieutenant laid on her front as her back has been exposed, and you can see where a nurse or a doctor of some kind has tried to carefully cut into the skin to peel away the fabric that's burned into her back, but it doesn't look good. She looks feverish and sick. And as you sit down beside the bed, she barely opens her eyes to look at you.
I'm a healer.
And then they're cloudy as she tries to focus, and then recognition.
Don't. What was done can be undone, but it requires silence. I am a healer. That is
One
what
of
I
them.
was.
Just like her. I've seen what you do.
You have. It costs. It weighs. And I put the weight that I was meant to carry on you.
And you can see her breathing. She's in pain as she's slowly rousing more. You know, the more awake you get, the more it starts to hurt. And her breathing becomes quick and shallow. And she just keeps muttering, "Not one of you. Not one of you."
Do you love yourself?
She doesn't answer. She's just now exhaustedly muttering as she struggles to breathe, the burns on her back constricting the breath in her lungs.
I need these words. I can fix this, but it requires the hair of someone that you love. Do you love yourself?
She nods.
I can never heal myself like this. And he plucks 2 hairs from her.
And as you pluck that, you notice she doesn't react to it because her eyes are closed, her breathing still shallow.
Because I feel about myself. And he puts the hair on her back tenderly. The way you feel about me. And he spits on the hair. And he gently rubs the back. And I am casting my heal.
Okay, don't roll for this. You cast it, and you can see the skin beneath your hands becoming less and less raw. But you feel her body get limper. Her life force feels like it's fading beneath your fingertips no matter what you do. And for a minute, her eyes fling wide open, and she reaches out and grabs the bottom of your shirt between her fist. The voice. The voice. He calls to me in his dreams. And then her hand is limp, and her eyes are vacant. And the back beneath your hands has healed, but she is gone.
And you see the tears that got him the nickname Papa Sad Soul, which is there and present. And I opened the door for him, and he saw you. Your soul smelled sweet, wonderful bait for the things in the sea. And he just pats her on the back. I'm sorry. He just walks out.
Okay. You walk out. I imagine the rest of you move around, trying to avoid any of the guards until it starts to quieten down in the evening. Things are forgotten quickly in Port Royal. It is busy. You still have prisoners to free, if Laheb, you still want to do that. And you still have something to discover here, it seems. There is more. I do want to ask, where do you decide to spend your night? Do you spend it ashore, or do you head back to the Dreamer?
I'll stay on shore.
Papa's immediately heading back to the Dreamer and making sure no one sees his face.
Okay. How about Laheb? Are you going back to the Dreamer, or are you staying on shore with Winifred?
Would it be possible, like, what do you think are the chances that Laheb would get recognized if they stayed on land?
I think between being with the crew, and also you do still have that clerk's costume, you're probably not going to be immediately recognized. In the chaos, people are going to be more worried about the fact that Dorna is missing than perhaps you. You have been in there quite a while, perhaps a little bit forgotten by the magistrate, so you're probably reasonably safe for now.
Okay, in that case, yeah, I want to stay on land, maybe sleep in a comfortable bed for the first time in a very long time.
Okay, how about Venora?
She heads to the Dreamer.
Okay, so Winifred and Laheb, you both managed to find a not amazing inn to spend the night in, and Venora and Papa, you sleep aboard the Dreamer that night. Papa, are you healed all the way up with courage points?
Yep.
Okay. Winifred and Laheb, as you sleep that night, you dream of something terrible. You see the darkness swallowing up the stars. You feel as if something is pulling you down beneath the ocean, cold water. And then you are awake, sweating with a racing heart, and it's morning. Papa and Venora, as you sleep aboard the Dreamer, you do not get a good night's sleep. If you've taken any, if you do have any courage points that you've spent, you regain 2 less than you would. And you have a similar dream of the darkness that swallowed the sky the night your ship was taken, and then down, something pulling you down. Or is it something pushing towards you? That's the feeling you start to get. Not that you're drowning, that something is reaching out, cold and dark, and trying to wrap itself around you as if to tell you something. And then it's daylight, daybreak, that you've had a horrible night's sleep. And the image of something coiling around you, around the inside of your head, lingers. And that is where we will end tonight's session. So a surprisingly well done jailbreak with that pickpocketing. Despite the chaos, good one on getting out of that. I was like, oh no, am I gonna kill Papa?
Yeah. He's okay with it.
We saw the face paint coming off and perhaps some repercussions, and some very interesting things. And I can't wait for Winifred to have a look in her pocket at some point.
Yes. Yeah.
So
probably would have done that.
Yeah, but then there was gunfire. Then
right, gunfire and smoke and fire and drinking. Yeah. Of course, yeah.
So thank you everybody watching and all of the folks here on stream with me for coming along tonight. This is fun. We finally found somebody who is maybe as spooky as Papa.
Ship it.
There we go. Dorna and Papa shipping it.
Yes, absolutely.
So before I go into talking about Black Cats Gaming and all of that good related stuff, let's go around. Tell us about you, where we can find you, about your character, how you feel about tonight's session. We'll go the other way around on my screen then. We will start with Noir.
That's me. Hey, I'm Noir. You can find me all over the internet as the Noir Enigma. That's Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok. And that's it. In 3 hours, you can find me over on Critical Misses, where I am GMing Kingsguard, our Roll20 spotlighted show, which takes place in my homebrewed world of Gloria, which I have been playing for the last 20 years. It's fun. Then tomorrow you can find me over on Bards and Barbarians for Outbreak Undead. The zombie apocalypse takes place in a comic book convention, but don't worry, Carrie's is safe. Then there's a bunch of other stuff that I'm doing this week. Then you can check that out on my pinned Twitter post. I love this session. I truly have a great time playing Papa, and thank you so much for letting me have that scene where I try to save the lieutenant, and I can't, because I was hoping that was going to be the case. Because he's Papa's sad soul, baby. It's got to be sad.
Yeah, it was. How do you feel about a character that's as spooky as Papa?
I love her because she's not only scary or like spooky like Papa, but she's putting Papa in his place a bit. Because he is playing with stuff that he doesn't understand, but his mindset is, well, I've already signed the deal with the devil, so I'm dead anyway. And she's just like, yeah, but you keep doing it. It's just like, yeah, you're right. Like, I love that.
Yeah, I had fun creating her as somebody that might be able to go toe to toe a little bit with Papa, and
I love her.
Yeah, and maybe even like show him a little bit of the how cryptid he is to everybody else when she says stuff. So I'm glad that you enjoyed her. Moving around, we have Lauren. How you doing, friend? Where can we find you on the internet?
I'm good. I did fucking great. Just absolutely nailed it. I'm sure I will actually shoot something at some point, but today was not the day with the British bearing down on us. I am Lauren. I'm that Salty Ginger over on Twitter, and half of Salty Sweet Games here on Twitch, where I stream tabletop games with my best friend Kiana. It's their birthday today, so go wish them happy birthday if you get a chance. We will be back on Sunday at noon Pacific with the second episode of our new series Turntable. We're playing Good Society with special guest Havana Vanna, our friend from our stream team. And we'll be back with Masks of Naira Lathatep. Saturday is 9 a.m. Pacific. That'll be towards the end of this month. We have a new player joining us, and we're headed to Australia. So it's going to be a good time. That's it for me.
Ooh. Yeah, I promise you will get to shoot things, Lauren. I didn't quite expect
I could have shot.
Yeah, that's not where I was expecting combat to happen. That whole jailbreak went very differently to how I thought it might. But depending on if you do choose to go after the governor, you're almost definitely going to have to shoot some things, probably. Maybe some cannons too when Kurt is back next week. Moving on, we have Hamna. How are you doing, friend? I'm so glad you could join us this week. It's so cool to have you on the crew.
Hello, everyone. My name's Hamna. Today I was Laheb Firecracker Zuffer, your Seeker. Yes, that is the class I am playing. You can find me on Twitter at @shahid_, where I talk about all of the different projects that I'm a part of. I'm on a lot of different actual play podcasts and streams. The one that is coming up most close to today is actually 2 days from now on August the 4th. I will be on the Transplaner RPG Twitch channel as part of BIMPOC Shoot Your Shot, where I will be playing a one-shot with the lovely cast of Transplaner RPG and a lot of other BIMPOC tabletop performers and producers. So yeah, definitely come check us out. We're almost at our fundraising goals, so you should definitely come and donate some money. We, for our incentives, are dropping character playlists. So if you want to see some angsty, dramatic playlists come out of that, definitely go and drop us some donations. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Definitely go and check that out. What did you think of joining the crew tonight and all the shenanigans going on?
Oh, it was so much fun. I was not expecting it to go that way either. I really enjoyed sort of the little exchange with Lauren at the beginning. I thought that was a very fun way to sort of bring everything in. So I'm really excited to see where it goes. I do want to go back to the jail and like get everyone though.
I'm sure that will happen without any trouble at all.
Did it once, we can do it again.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're pirates. Anything is possible. Last but not least, Belle, how you doing?
I am doing great. This has just been such a blast. I loved the first episode, and this is just, I love the development that we're getting, the character development, and this was amazing. Also did not expect the jailbreak to go like that. So
I love that there was no planning involved. It just kind of happened.
yeah. So I'm Belle Share. You can find me on Twitter and Twitch as Belle Share, and on Facebook and wherever else you may want to look that up. I'm Belle Share under everything. And what I've got coming up later on today, I'm going to be doing my Miniature Monday stream, where I invite people to come and learn how to miniature paint. And if you have your own miniature that you're painting along with the stream, that's always really, really cool. And I always love that. And we're continuing to paint Rakdos. He's like a Deemer Lord of Destruction. And so, so I'll be doing that later on tonight on my Twitch channel. And my Twitch channel is about miniature painting, how to cosplay, and some video games here and there. Yeah, awesome. And I played Winifred tonight, who is the local wind caller, and I love Winifred. I look forward to seeing how she develops and the different crew dynamics.
I just love her as like the mum of the crew, just like making sure everyone's okay, getting everyone grog, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Look, somebody's got to look after them, right?
Right.
And I'm gonna get you stats for a ladle. I want you to have a ladle as a weapon. It's gonna make it a thing.
Yes, awesome.
If anyone in chat hasn't noticed, my players like to ask me for things, and I like to say yes. And don't worry, Noir, I haven't forgotten.
I haven't forgotten what? I don't know what you could possibly
Noir asked
talking
me for something,
about.
and I might have said yes. So James, if you're watching this, I'm sorry.
Make it happen.
Make it happen.
And finally, folks, hello. I have been your game master tonight. My name is Virginia. You can find me on Twitch and Twitter at Tabletop Horde. I do a whole bunch of stuff. I play video games on Twitch. I actually help make TTRPGs. I'm the graphic designer on Curse Captains of Cthulhu, which has been really awesome. So it's amazing fun to run for these folks, and I feel so lucky to have such awesome players who want to come and play every Monday night. You can check me out doing video game streaming and generally rambling on Twitter about stuff. You can also very soon hire me to work on your tabletop role-playing games. So that's a thing, because that's what I do. I'm really bad at marketing myself. Before I forget, we also have Kurt, who is not here tonight, but we send him all of the love, and we can't wait to have Broadsides Bart back next week. Please go check him out as well. I can imagine you all boarding the Dreamer and explaining what happened and just watching him, like, his mind be blown. By also having basically Papa Sad Soul 2 aboard. It's going to be amazing.
Does he see Papa come back without face paint on?
Probably not. Or maybe. We can discuss it. We'll find out next session.
Okay.
Yeah. Last but not least, please go check out Black Cats Gaming. It is a wonderful channel that we are on right now. They make awesome tabletop role-playing games. Curse Captains of Cthulhu obviously is just funded on Kickstarter. Please keep an eye out on it. Tell people about it still for when the late pledges come out, and grab yourself some of these swashbuckling adventure fun times like you're seeing here. You can also go check out the Spy Game if you want something 5e based, international spies and espionage, everything from your Archer to your James Bond. You can do it. It's a whole ton of fun. There's a whole bunch of awesome people that worked on it. I wrote a Filipino spy agency, and they're pretty cool, so you can go check that out. And if you like all of the gribbly stuff and all of the creepy nonsense that you kind of see here, but you want it for your 5e games, please go check out Dreams, Nightmares and Half-Remembered Meetings for fantasy gribblies and really cool magic items and potions and scents straight from the mind of James. I think that's pretty much everything. I don't know if we have a raid queued up. If we do, Sam will be putting it in chat right now. Oh, he has. We're raiding Susie, who also works on Cursed Captains of Cthulhu. So please go over and show her some love. And we will see you back here next Monday, 7 p.m. UK, 2 p.m. EDT, to find out what they're going to do about the governor, the mysterious meanings behind the Spanish names of their ship, and also all of the other strange stuff that's slowly coming to light. So we will see you then, folks. Thank you so much for coming along. Have a wonderful night.
Yay, thank you.